Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. It gives me great pleasure to see many of the familiar faces I had the privilege of training before. And for the ones I haven't met before, my name is Nisreen. I'm the ELA curriculum specialist at McGraw Hill, and I have the privilege of being with you today. Uh, okay, just for you to know, I have a former colleague also in the room. This is why if she hypes over, like, yeah, we've worked together. Okay, with that being said, let's just wait for everyone to settle down. Okay. You know you're at a disadvantage when you're before lunch. Everybody wants to go, they're hungry. But no problem, we will manage, we will pull ourselves through, and then we will get ourselves to the lunch. Okay. So before we start, I have 3 terms listed on the board, and these go as differentiation, intervention, and scaffolding. Now, before we start, I know you've had the experience as teachers, and with today's sessions in the morning, you can give me a proper definition of these terms. What do you think? So who would like to go first? What do you mean by differentiation? In very simple terms. It doesn't have to be anything like fancy terms or anything. So in simple terms, what does differentiation mean to you? Okay, so I'm catering for different abilities. Very good. Anything else? Excellent answer. So I'm taking into consideration the needs and interests of students. Anything else? The strength. So I need to know the level of the student before I can differentiate for him. Excellent answers. Thank you so much. Anything else? Okay, super. Moving forward, intervention. What does that mean? Intervention? Okay, so creating an action plan for specific students. Anything else? Again? Centers, creating centers of interest. Very good. Accommodations. These are excellent answers. Thank you so much. Supporting the students. Very good. Thank you so much again. Thank you. What about scaffolding? When I say scaffold, what does that even mean? Scaffolding? Simplifying. Perfect. Supporting. Okay, in the common sense of scaffold, what is a scaffold? If I said I'm trying to put the scaffold together in order to help paint the building, in this sentence, in this context, what does scaffold actually mean? Yeah, like the ladder, exactly, the ladder that we usually see on the outside. I have a question. If I keep that ladder up, but there's no one climbing or trying to paint, does this mean that action will take place? Never. So what does scaffolding need? Teachers' guidance and students' action. So I can scaffold, I can support, but there's no way any improvement is going to happen unless these students will take action and this teacher will give guidance. Okay? Super. Yes, please. Exactly. Thank you so much. So I want to reach to a point where this scaffold is no longer needed. Perfect answer. Thank you so much. Okay. Moving forward. Okay. Now what you see in front of you is the MTSS or multi-tiered system of support. Have you been acquainted with that before? Have you seen this before? No, it's actually good. If you haven't seen it, this is really good. So usually in every classroom, we start with Tier 1, which is called prevention for all. Our purpose as teachers is to get these students learning where I, as a teacher, would give a one-size-fits-all and everyone will actually learn. But that's utopia. This does not exist in our classes. So many a times we would cater, but it would be for the large majority of the class, like 80% of the students. And then you would have Tier 2, where some students will need intervention. When I say intervention in here, they would have like mild differentiation, they would have something catered for their needs, not necessarily like a full-fledged lesson where they're pulled out, but at least they are supported in the classroom. And then you would have Tier 1, which is intervention for a few. These should not be exceeding more than 5% of the class, and these students would need one-on-one instruction, one-on-one focus group, And these students are usually the ones who would have something like dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, ADHD, autism. So these are special needs students that would not learn unless I have actually taken the time to go ahead and pull them out, or at least provide them with a shadow teacher. And these are quite a few of them. Now, why am I shedding the light on this? It's because we have provided you with a system within our platforms, Has It Been Wonders or StudySync, that support you if you have students in Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3. Okay. What you've seen in the morning is also showing on the screen again, which is the scoreboard rope that is deeply rooted at the science of reading. So you would notice that the scoreboard rope usually starts with the basic units because reading is not a natural occurrence. No matter how smart the person is, he can never be born into a skill of reading. Unless you teach the child how to read, how to recognize letters and sounds, there's no way he could blend or segment or decode or do some phonological awareness. So these are skills that we acquire by learning. They are not a natural occurrence. So what this says is that we usually start at recognizing the letter, giving it a sound, putting the letters together to create a word, putting the words together to create a sentence, which are usually called word recognition. So I've reached to this point, I start reading in order to acquire knowledge. But these steps need to be progressive and need to be built together and intertwined into a rope called the rope of reading, or the scoreboard rope. This rope is not new to education. It's been there since 2001, but being deeply rooted in our books have given us the advantage of seeing how it works for everyone. Okay? I'm sorry, I don't have a clicker, so I'll have to go back and forth, and I love nothing more than moving, so it's fine. Okay, now the depth of knowledge. Is anyone acquainted with the idea of depth of knowledge? Perfect, yeah. How many? How many khulud do we have in the depth of knowledge? 4, very good. So we have 4 levels, and as you can see, they correlate to Bloom. So have you been acquainted with Bloom only or depth of knowledge only? They do correlate together, as you can see in the graph. So if I said depth of knowledge 4, I'm definitely also targeting critical thinking and analyzing and evaluating. By the way, I'm sharing my presentation with you afterwards. Like whenever you get your certificate, my presentation is with it. So you will get it and you can use it if you felt like it. Okay? Great. Amazing. So let's take a look at Dr. Douglas Fisher, one of my favorites and one of our authors. The special thing about him is that he is the one who created the close reading routine that we use in Wonders and StudySync. Now, what does this routine say and how does it work? He says whenever I'm targeting a new selection, new story, a new narrative, I should target it in such a manner that gives it structure. What does that even mean? So I'm starting with the read. Usually when I first read, I'm reading for pleasure. I'm reading to get basic information like who, where, what, when, etc. And these questions I should be able to answer after my first reading. So the depth of knowledge in here is usually 1 and 2, not exceeding more than that. Then I have something called targeted reading. I'm reading with the purpose in mind, and I'm targeting depth of knowledge 2 to 3, or sometimes even 3 to 4. I'm reading parts of the selection, trying to target my reading into getting prediction, inferring, doing some compare-contrast, so the purpose is much higher, and the depth of knowledge is not the same. Then I would have my integrate, which is the deepest level. I'm trying to make the connection. The question is for everyone, what kind of connections can I make with the selection? What connections? Khulud. Perfect. Perfect. Very good. So the 3 types of connection that I can make are text to self, how can I relate to the story? Or text to text, how can I compare and contrast a text to another? Or text to world, which is the utmost level where I can use that learning in a new life situation. And with that being said, you would find that this table is present in your teacher's edition, guiding you in every single story on how to do that close reading routine, so that you as a teacher don't have to worry as much. Because I would promise you that with Wonders and StudySync, your planning time should be cut in half. Now let's take a look at this wheel, and the question goes back to you. Like, it's highly interactive, so I need to hear from you. What are the 4 basic skills of English? Of course, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. We've added something to this wheel. What did we add? Collaborating or collaborative conversation. Why is collaborative conversation added? It's listening and speaking, right? So why did we add it? What's the point? Very interesting. So the receptive skills are there, and then the productive skills again. Very good answer. Thank you so much. Anything else? You're an amazing audience. I love your answer. Exactly. So I'm targeting two skills at a time. So I'm listening, using my critical thinking to produce the speaking. So if you look at it, it's a cycle. It's no more just listening and no more just speaking. It's a cycle where you are kind of helping me brainstorm and then create an answer in order to give it out. So just like you said, thank you so much. I'm targeting multiple skills at the same time. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, in addition, I've kept this here because this book has to be one of my favorites. It's Instructional Routines Handbook. It's a book that is available in your resource library at no extra cost. Make sure if you feel like reading it digitally, just go ahead and read through it. Or if you want to print it, it's in PDF form, so you can even print it, share it with the team. It has instructional routines that you can use in Wonders and beyond. And these can stay with you, and that's why it's so amazing. Do you have a question? You don't? Okay, super. I'm sorry, I thought you had a question. Okay. Now, the classroom setup. Remember they said that the learning environment is always important, but whenever we say the learning environment, we start thinking that maybe I need to take the students out to the library, or out to the garden of the school, or out to the field, etc. But this is not necessarily the case all the time. I can change your learning environment by changing the way you're seated or the students around you, and that's a way that would work. So let's take a look at this chart that was provided by Wonders behind me. As you can see, we have grouping in here where the students are facing each other. So you can say, for example, I'm seating them in homogeneous groups, so I have my approaching, on, beyond, and ELL, or you can even seat them in different abilities. So one approaching, one on, one beyond, and one ELL. This way you're actually achieving more. On the side, you would have those with flying colors, the students who have finished the task, and you want to get them started on something new. So you can have some digital devices in the classroom. If you have that, of course, this is not written or engraved in stone. You can have that on the side. And then you would have your teacher's focus group. From what we have said so far, whom is this targeted for, the focus group, the teacher's table? Which tier? There you go. So tier 2 or probably tier 3. Thank you so much, Ms. Samah. So exactly those students who need one-on-one, I would keep them around and close so that they have eye contact with me. I know exactly what they need support in, and I can take that from there. With that being said, we are expecting you to have a projector because? Why do we need you to have a projector or a smartboard in class? Yeah, there you go, because our presentations are highly interactive. We have the videos, we have the songs, we have the presentations, the digital book, and we want you to take advantage of everything and go beyond that even. What about the corner? What can you see in the corner? The reader's nook, which is everyone's favorite. Like, I remember when I was a teacher and I had a reader's nook in my class, and I have someone smiling because they've been to my nook before. The students would fight over who's sitting there, and I would usually say like early finishers one day, or maybe star students one day, or if you made progress one day. So that place was always special for someone. The category would change every single day. And on the side, you can have your cross-curricular link. If you have some extracurricular activities or you're trying to link to different subjects, this is where you can keep your material. Again, this is a good suggestion. This is not engraved in stone, but that's the way we imagine things to look. Now let's take a look at the differentiation in our platform. I will start with the left-hand side. The Gold Rush, which is one of our stories, but I can see 3 repeated worksheets. Why is that? Is there a glitch? Of course not. There's no glitch. These are your differentiated worksheets. So even though it's the same story, you will get 3 differentiated worksheets for every single story. And these are printable or can be assigned digitally. So it's totally up to you. Whether you want to print, you want to assign, you want to display it on the board and write the answers, that's an option that you have. What about the left-hand corner? Is there anything special that was added this year? Adaptive learning. What do we know about the adaptive learning? An amazing audience, honestly speaking. Best audience in the world. Okay, that's why English teachers are special anyway. Anyhow, so if you look at the board, you would notice that adaptive learning is at the very corner. Kindly note that this used to be a standalone feature that came at an extra cost, but not anymore. This year, we have opened it to all copyrights for all students. The special thing about it is that it targets phonics, phonemic awareness, and structural analysis. So if your students at any point in time were missing on specific skills, there's no worry from you as a teacher. It's adaptive, auto-corrects, auto-explains, auto-helps your students. All they need to do is that from their main screen, there's like a semicircle in color. It looks like a prism. It's a placement test. Ask them to take it. It should take 20 to 25 minutes, and then they can work on their own for 10 minutes every day, and they will hit the skills in no time. You as a teacher will be notified of the progress that they're making. So do make use of it, because honestly, it is an amazing, amazing tool. Okay, what about the differentiated part of every lesson? Do they target different skills? Are the students, like some of them are working on vocab, others on grammar, the third on literature or story? Is it the case? Look at it. Are they targeting different skills? No, they're not. You're right, they're not. So why are they differentiated then? How can they be differentiated if they're all doing the same story? Exactly, thank you so much. Exactly. So as you can see in here, we have leveled readers. The leveled readers library is 545 stories that are ready to be assigned. The special thing about them is that for every story, you would have it in 4 different levels. So if you have your students in groups, you just assign the level and your students will all read about Jane Addams. The only difference is that each at his or her own level, but they will always be able to answer to the question, who is this character? What did it do in history? Why is it special? So they will all have the main idea. Super, super. So now we agreed that the level readers have colored spines. So if you look at the spines, there are always 4 colors. So we have orange, blue, green, and purple, which are approaching, on, beyond, and ELL. Now we have added this year, latest edition, our small. It looks exactly the same as your reading writing companion. It's exactly the same. The only difference is that the small group scaffolding needed. It would have your speaking frames, sentence frames, extra language detectives, and this is also part of your resource library. You don't have to buy it. We added it to your library at no extra charge. Excellent. I like excellent is actually good. Excellent is really good. Yep. Yep. So the orange is always approaching, the blue is always on, the green is always beyond, and the purple is always ELL. So let's take a look on the inside. What is this about? Those samples that I have in here, what are the students going to read about? Mammals, very good. So it's linked to which subject? Science. See, so the cross-curricular link is there and the topic is there. What about the lexile measure? Is it the same for everyone? It's not. So everyone will know what mammals are, 100%. It's just that the word count and the lexile measure is not going to be the same. Now, I need you to look at the ELL and then look at the approaching. Are they similar? Approaching and ELL, are they similar? Similar, right? Length, very good. Thank you so much. Perfect answer. What are the differences between the two? Yeah, so the wording is simpler for ELL. What about the language detective? Is it available in approaching? What about the pointers? Like I would tell them, this is mantis, this is this, this is that. Is that available in any other? So the scaffolding for the ELL is always more. So if you felt that you have students who are suffering, you can always go ahead and help them with that. Now, how many levels do we cover? No, how many grade levels, I mean? All the way till grade 8. So even though Wonders is still grade 5, but the bank we have covers from A all the way till Z. So we cover every single lexile range that you might need for your students. Okay? Super. We have a product similar to Raskids, but our stories would be more like at different fiction, non-fiction, comparative selections, can be used for literature circles, for early finishers, but they can be assigned digitally. Like they would be like in form of a book, but assigned digitally, okay?
Fill in a number that shows what you already know. To figure that out, you will need to ask yourself some questions.
For example, our first goal is, I can read and understand expository text. Let's ask ourselves, what is expository text? Do I usually understand these types of texts?
If you're struggling to answer these questions, that's okay. You can fill in a 1. You will learn what you need to know. If you know that expository text is nonfiction, but need more practice reading expository text, fill in a 2.
Great! If you know how text features like photos and headings give information about the topic, fill in a 3.
If you can help a friend understand an expository text, fill in a 4.
Right! Fill in the bars for the other 2 goals on the page. At the end of the text set, we'll review our goals to see how much we have learned.
Setting goals helps us connect what we're learning with why. Why? Today ends with why. I better get back to practicing.
Okay. So as you can see at the beginning of every text set, we are giving the students like an evaluative page where they need to evaluate what they know. Usually this one would have I can statements, like I can understand what an expository text is, I can do this, I can do that. Why are we doing this? Because we want them to be able to reflect. We want them to be able to say, I can, I can't. And that's personal, that's up to them. Like I can put 1 or I can put 4. No one would stop me, there's no mark for it, but at least I can evaluate and tell you what I can and I can't. And at grade 3 level, I'm expecting these students to be able to write me what they can and what they can't, and that's the sole purpose of everything. Perfect, perfect. Moving forward, our data dashboard. As you can see in here, we have different filters. So if I chose an assessment, specific assessment, instead of me grouping my students for tier 2, approaching, on, and beyond, this will already be automated and created for you. So you would notice that your tier 2 students would be within the range that you choose for them, your approaching, beyond, etc., and that we would have assignable resources for each category. What do I mean by that? You would notice that the resources are there. All you need to do is choose it and assign it, and the students will be working towards acquiring that skill. Now, what happens if my students were on beyond level? You would notice that we have built-in enrichment, because even these students deserve to have differentiation for them, deserve to be challenged. What if they were on tier 2 level? Should we attend to that? Of course, in your resource library, you have something called Tier 2 intervention, which are books of populated worksheets that you can print out for your students, you can use at your own convenience, and you would have one for comprehension, another for vocab, another for grammar, and let me show you what it looks like. Exactly, exactly, exactly. 100%. Thank you so much, Ms. Samah. Exactly. So Ms. Samah is saying that maybe these tier 2 students would need differentiated worksheets, the ones I've showed you before, and it would work. So, oh, super. Bravo, amazing, amazing. That would be great. Great idea. Thank you so much. So what Ms. Samah is saying, like, for example, if she's targeting multiple skills, she would take from different ones, and then she would have, let's say, her own booklet that she would use for the students. These resources, amazing, amazing, great idea. Of course. Super. Perfect, perfect idea. Thank you so much. True. Wow, amazing Wonders teachers. That's beautiful. Well done. So you're using the resources to the up level. Well done, amazing. So as you can see in here, this is K to 5 and then 3 to 6. So if you decided to use them for your students, feel free to do so. We've heard some great examples from teachers who have put them to good use, and I'm certain that we will be inspired by you. Thank you so much. Now heading to Study Sync, and the same goes, yes please. we have this seamless transition between Wonders and Study Sync. So what I'm saying is Wonders, but then you will see the transition to Study Sync, which is just about the same. Now, the close reading routine that we have mentioned for Wonders is the same as Study Sync. So we would have the close reading routine that starts with close read, and then first read, and then the flow of the lesson would be just about the same. My students will be answering quiz questions in the first read, and then they would have to write. Why is write the highest depth of knowledge? Think questions. There you go, bravo. So I'm having them think critically, cite evidence, perfect answers, and evaluate the source. So they have read, understood, evaluated, and produced. And that's basically what we want. Amazing audience. Yes, please.
Just, I'm sure you're going to be talking about this, but for the Study Sync, for the intro, there will always be just something that is very, very generic to the, because we're using them, that's why I'm just excited about it.
Yeah.
That's only the reason. So for the intro, it's really helpful because it gets them to think about the general topic, and then you move to a specific thing. And then with your questioning, they will just kind of like make the link and then just make that transition to the specific text. So
Perfect.
it really works for the secondary school more than the other ones.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that's basically called activating prior knowledge. So I'm trying to link what they're about to learn to what they already know. And this bridge would give them the smooth transition from the knowledge I know to the knowledge I will acquire. Okay? So let's take a look at this. Can you see the one that says scaffolds on the side? So whenever I group my students and give them a proficiency level, they will start getting scaffolds based on their level. So if I'm a beginner or on beginning level, I will get the most scaffolds. I would get pictures with vocab words and examples. I will get a synopsis of the story in English, and if you decided also in Arabic, and I'll show you how. And you will also get speaking frames. What do I mean by that? I need to speak, I don't have the confidence. So the speaking frames would give you sentences that are full answers, would only have gaps here and there where you would fill the name of the character or the setting of the story or the main conflict. Yeah, exactly. And you would be able to speak them out. If I practiced once and twice and thrice, what do you expect the fourth time is going to happen? You would remove the scaffold and the student will be able to speak on his own. Thank you so much. You said it just a while ago. So we would be able to remove the scaffold and the student would be independent. And ultimately, that's what we're looking for. Super. Amazing. Now, where do I determine the proficiency level from? When I'm trying to see the proficiency level, how many levels do we have again? 4. Beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. So it's not 3, it's 4 different levels that you can target. There you go, there you go. So if you're A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2, yeah. This even, yeah, exactly, CEFR, yeah. Moving forward, you would notice that we have additional resources added for everyone, and these resources would have beautiful guides that you can use, amongst which is the guide for differentiation and scaffolding. Amazing. I have already someone using it in the back. Bravo. I told you, star audience today. So as you can see in here, the guide is available if you ever decided to use it. Additional resources. So if you open any grade level, you go to the very bottom, you would be able to see it. Additional resources. Just head to the very bottom. Okay, so I just want to put this in front of everyone to ask you a question. In what ways will I benefit from having these scaffolds, from having these leveled readers that would come to every student at his or her own level? How can I benefit from this as a teacher? Meeting students where they are, engaging students, amazing answers. Anything else? Exactly, so I can use it for formative assessment, right? Because I want to meet them where they are. I don't want them to feel challenged more than they can bear. I want them to be in their zone of proximal development, but I don't want to push them in a way that would be harsh. Okay, will that save me time as a teacher? What, in what ways? I love the answer. Everything is actually there. Just use it as a teacher. It's teacher-friendly, I agree. Thank you so much. Amazing answer. Okay, super. Now the ELL resources. Yes, please.
independent learners or autonomous learners. So if at first the teacher supports or gives scaffolding to, let's say low achievers, by the end or after some time, they will be independent learners. They can rely on themselves to learn, or self-learners.
Perfect answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Amazing. So that's basically the whole purpose. We don't want to keep the scaffold. The scaffold is there, but my ultimate purpose is just like the gentleman said, to reach to a point where no scaffold is needed, full stop. That's the point. I'm helping you now, but later on you will be highly independent. Now let's take a look at this. Can you see those ELL resources? How many of the stories will be in there from that unit? 3 or 4. You're right, 3 or 4. So usually we select some. And if you open those, you would notice that the focus is going to be on skill rather than content. Because this is for the students who are tier 2, usually tier 3, who need my instructions and will not be able to work without. So I target these students by giving them the stories that work for them, are on their level, and I would give them the skills that they are lacking in. Now, let's take a look at the titles we have in our library. How many selections do we have? Can you spot the number on the screen? That's a challenge. How many passages do we have? 1,295 and growing. And growing, so we keep adding. Is it taken from a certain part of the world? Everywhere. If you check the authors, you would find that we have translated literature, Arabic literature, Asian literature, African literature. All of these titles are available. Do we have full novels or don't we? We do. If you check full texts, you would notice that we have full novels. So if you want to have your literature circle, if you want to have your home reader, all of that is available for you and you can assign it. So you can use this filter. So if I'm looking for a selection for grades 6 to 8, and I want it to be IB prescribed reading, and I want a drama, I can just choose these filters, click, and I would be narrowed down to 4 to 5 selections only. So always use the filter because the bank is too big. Okay. Now remember the proficiency level that we've mentioned before? You would notice that next to the student, I have the proficiency level, so I can choose his level, and I can always go back and change it. So if I improve, you can change me from beginning to intermediate. The gentleman in here is advanced, so he's now advanced high, so I can just move him forward, okay? What about Arabic? What does this stand for? Have you seen this before? Choosing the sub-language for the student, the supplementary language. Have you seen this before? Yeah, so if you choose Arabic, here's what the students are going to see. They will get a summary of the story in Arabic with an audio. So like this is some sort of scaffolding, right? So if you can't understand the story, you can at least have an idea by listening to the synopsis of the story in Arabic. And that's again a part of scaffolding. Yeah, only Arabic. No, of course not. This is part of scaffolding. Remember, we said we have tier 3 students. No, we don't. To be honest, we don't, but that's an option that I should show you. Yes, please. There you go. Can we just listen to his answer, please?
In terms of language acquisition, it's allowed to you to use the L1, which is the mother tongue language, as a means in order to facilitate and to make things easy in order to understand as a whole.
Exactly.
And this is common in grammar translation method. This will help you to involve with this strategy in order to master the language or the target language that you are going to learn.
Yeah.
I'll
give you an example. Thank you so much, sir. I'll just give you an example that was given to us by one of our AP instructors. She used to teach in New Mexico, and her students were Mexican. Being from that part of the world, they didn't understand English. To them, it was extremely hard. So she said that she used to create a synopsis of the story in Mexican. Even though it was not her mother tongue, she would ask a friend to translate for her. And when she knew that we had this feature, it like resonated with her. So she said those tier 3 students, so I'm not talking about the full class. I'm talking about someone who is suffering, who is lacking in skill. So they would get the idea, and from there, they would start reading and acquiring new knowledge. Yes, please.
I agree with him in somehow that we shouldn't translate and we should use English.
Of course.
But I will give him an example that happened this year. Because I have lots of Russian in my class and ELL, and they don't know English, I
Super.
had to use Google Translate
There you
to be
go.
able to communicate with them because they felt unsafe.
Exactly.
They didn't feel secured because I was speaking English and they didn't understand. So to make them feel happy and safe and secure, I had to use Google Translate to show them that I want to understand you, please try to understand
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So I wanted to tell you that sometimes you need to use Translate
True, true.
just to make students safe that, you know,
Yeah.
I understand you.
So the students can have access to a story or a poem in Spanish because, you know, we have too many Hispanic students in America. So why is it a crime here if you use Arabic or if you give...
You want
as
to
a
use
kind-
Arabic, okay.
No. I'm not for... I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm just
To be
asking.
honest, studies about this
So
have been around for
why
quite
do
a
they do
while.
it in America and we can't do it here? That's a question.
Yeah. I thought he's against me too. Okay, anyhow, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your participation. Yeah, it depends on the school. Okay. Now, very recent studies, very important articles I've read lately, they say that when you honor the mother tongue of the child, usually he feels safe, just like she said, and he feels that he belongs, especially if I'm a minority. If you honor like, you know, whenever it happens that you have a child from a different ethnicity and you say hello in his language, you feel that there's a smile on their faces because they feel like you've honored who they are. So anyway, like, of course,
Nisreen?
that's an option. You can
Ms.
use it or
Nisreen?
not. It's totally up to you. Yes, please.
Research. Hello, everyone. I'm
Hello.
doing my, let's say, master research about, let's say, TESOL, and I have accessed some research that says that, for example, in certain countries, let's say in Germany, they code switch, for example, or they use the German language to clarify the instructions. Even in the English class, they use the German language as a language of instruction, as a means of instruction to clarify things for the students. In Pakistan, for
Super,
example,
yeah.
they code switch. Most of the teachers, it was shown that many teachers use code switching in order to help students, especially in order to understand, let's say, the English language class, okay,
Super.
and material.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Before we finish, I just want to introduce one thing.
KHDA, actually, when we got them, sorry, thank you. I think I'm loud enough. KHDA last year, when they came to our school, and we had like exceeding numbers of Russian students coming in, or like from all around the world, they were very fond of the way that we were doing some of the, like, okay, after vocabulary, can you translate these in your target language? Or if you are actually speaking English and English is your first language, you would just translate them in any language that you just like feel like you want to learn, for example, because they were taking like extracurricular classes and they were taking language classes. So that's highly advised. But then again, just it depends on the admin.
Of course, it goes back to your school and your preference.
school.
Of course. They loved it. Okay, amazing, amazing. Of course, of course. The thing is that everything in our books goes back to research and white papers. So nothing is there because it has to be there. It's there because there's a purpose for it. Yes, please.
Teacher in grade 2, she told me she has a student, he can't understand anything.
Yeah.
And I told her we will sit and discuss, but now I think about this strategy. Why not we can, or we we will
And
try.
it's not the full selection, it's just a
It's-
synopsis,
it's
2 to
only
3
one
lines.
student
only,
in the
yeah.
class, and it will be between him
Exactly.
and the
It
teacher,
will
not
help them push
not in
forward.
front of all.
True.
Thank you so much.
True, exactly. Thank you so much. Okay, I just would like to introduce our product, which is SRA Reading Laboratory. So it's based on 65 years of research created by Dr. Donald Parker. So he started as a teacher who grouped students into different color codes and created stories, 12 to be exact, within every color range. And whenever he grouped the students were able to progress from one to another with ease. Now, the special thing is that this year, we have moved digital. So the platform SRA Reading Laboratory is also known now as RLO. And you would notice that the students would be having their placement tests. So we would place them for you. They would promote or demote automatically. What's so special is that we target comprehension, vocab, and grammar skills. So not only comprehension, unlike any other product. And if you have any questions, by all means. Yeah, the only difference is that like our stories are based on fiction, non-fiction, lexile level ranges are many. And we have vocab and skills, yeah. Oh, sure, sure. Let me go back. Yes, exactly. So what you would have is usually the teacher would have a dashboard. You would have your students sitting for a placement test. Of course, that's a separate product. It does not belong to Wonders. They would have their placement test. Whenever they finish their placement stories, they would be given a color code. As you can see, this child in here has the color brown. And then within that color, the student has to show proficiency in 5 stories, and then would move forward to the next color or the next color code. And we have more than 144 stories within every track. And we have 5 tracks. So the number of stories is huge. And the students would have comprehension, they would have vocabulary skills, and they would have skills in grammar, targeted every single time. They would get to record themselves reading, and the teacher can just give them feedback or listen to their reading using our app. This program? Yeah, it's because it's reading comprehension. So whenever we say map, we say reading and language, right? And it's usually reading 6+, and then language 2 to 12 for grades 6 to 12. So basically anything that has to do with reading would be comprehension targeted. It would help you in reading. And anything that is skill would be language, and it would help you in language. So basically, yeah, that's my answer. Okay. Whatever you read will be documented and reported as an insight to your teacher. So you would have how much time they spent, their progress, the graphs, even the coins, how many coins they've made, certificates they've had. So it's highly interactive. It's like a game. So it looks like cartoon as they're reading, and then they will get to collect coins, and the coins will be moving and swerving, and there's like celebrating their success. So it's different genres, and fiction and non-fiction. Yeah, it has everything. K to 8. To 8. Yeah. Okay? Any other questions? Thank you so much for being such an amazing, amazing audience. Have a wonderful day, and we can all go for lunch now. Thank you.